There we go. Next slide. So as Kate just mentioned, I'm going to talk about the public access program with an emphasis on the coastal trail. I will give you an overview of the access program prior to moving into the coastal trail. You already saw my cartoon just now. I didn't know it was going to already be presented. But here we are in 1972, which is sort of the beginning of our history on coastal access. The bumper sticker on the left, yes, on 20, is for the Proposition 20. And the reason that was put on the ballot is the citizens' reaction to the rampant development that was going on the California coast in the late 60s and 70s, which resulted in miles of the coast being blocked off from views and access to the actual shoreline. So, and there's Dennis the Menace saying, I went to the beach and it was gone. And what in this cartoon, he's saying, I couldn't find it because of the wall of development. I also want to point out that that cartoon is still very pertinent today when you look at sea level rise. You go to the beach and it's been swamped. So this cartoon lives on in our history. Next slide is the Coastal Access logo that was adopted in 1980. This is primarily used by the Coastal Commission and the Coastal Conservancy. They are our state agency partner in promoting public access to the coast. For those of you that haven't looked at this logo as much as I have, this is the foot and wave logo, and there's 3 C's in that wave, standing for California Coastal Commission. I can see some people hadn't seen that before. Glad I pointed that out. And we urge everyone who's providing public access, mostly government agencies, but also some of our nonprofit partners, to use this logo anywhere that they are providing public access. I also want to point out that you must have seen many of these signs, this logo along our coastal highway. Caltrans has been partnering with us for since the 1980s to put in hundreds of signs along the coastal highway, whether it's PCH, Highway 1, 101, to lead drivers along the coast, along the shoreline there, to find the coastal access points. Next, we have what we've been doing each month, and we're going to have that right after this, our Spotlight series on coastal access. And this is part of our 50th anniversary celebration, and this is part of maximizing our mandate to maximize public access to and along the coast. Next slide just shows you where on our website to look for these videos under, big surprise, under coastal access. Okay, next slide. Now, these spotlights that I've been presenting come from the public access easements that the Commission has required over our history. And these easements are required to mitigate a permit applicant's development upon public access. And the typical way that the Commission requires these easements is recording of a legal document that protects public access for the future, and it's called an offer to dedicate public access easement. And the acronym is OTDs, and you've probably heard this quite a bit. But we require permit applicants to record these legal documents, but there's several steps from recording the document to actually have a new public access way to the coast. And I just wanted to point out that 95% of these OTDs have been accepted by government agencies, cities and counties and state agencies, and I listed them here as to the numbers. State Lands Commission being the highest. They've accepted almost all the lateral easements, the ones that are parallel to shore, in the city of Malibu. And that's where their numbers come from. I also want to point out that we have 16 nonprofits that work with us to accept easements in their areas, and the one that I really want to highlight is the Mendocino Land Trust, having accepted 107 OTDs, which is remarkable for a nonprofit. It's a lot of work, and you will be seeing future spotlights where we highlight their vertical easements that they've opened, the pathways to the coast. So you can watch for that. Next slide. This slide shows you where those vertical access ways, again, which is the highest priority for our agency, to make sure they get accepted, which they are, and then opened to the public. There's 160 vertical easements recorded, and of those 160, 120 have been opened to the public. This chart shows you, by county where they're recorded, And you'll see that the green is what's open and the red is yet to come. You probably aren't surprised to see that Los Angeles has the highest number of recorded vertical easements, but you may be surprised to see that Mendocino is in the number 2 spot. This is just in reference to the number of permits that the commission has approved over time and the ones that rose to the level of requiring mitigation through requiring a vertical OTD. Next slide, I want to show you on the ground, well, this is an aerial, but on the ground of what the commission has been able to accomplish through our public access easement program. Here we are in Carbon Beach, access ways in the city of Malibu. On the left side of the screen, you can see the Malibu Pier, and to the rest of the slide is Carbon Beach, which is about 1.5 miles long. It has primarily pre-coastal development that was blocking public access, again, views of and access to this lovely 1.5 mile long beach. Prior to the Coastal Commission being created, there was no public access ways to, whoops, can you just go back, thanks. There were no public access ways to this beach. You could see it from the Malibu Pier, but you couldn't really get there unless you came in by water, which of course is not we want something a little higher than that. The 5 access ways that were required and are opened, I put the dates when each one of them was opened to the general public. They're all very well used. The next slide, which you've already seen, just exemplifies the difficulty that we had in the beginning, early years, and maybe still are, the years of opening public access to Malibu. This is 1978, and it was opening the Zonker-Harris Accessway, which is near to the pier, and the comic creator Gary Trudeau memorialized the day that this opened, which was highly contested. And I think you can see the reference to Iwo Jima on here. And by the way, the accessway is definitely still called the Zonker-Harris Accessway, operated by Los Angeles County. Next slide. I just want to take you down on the sand to one of the accessways, aptly named Via Linda. I just had to throw this in. But on the left, there's the before picture, and you can see a beautiful beach. This is, again, Carbon. It's on the eastern edge. There's nobody on it. Because at that time, there was no access to it. Then after the public access easement required by the commission was opened in 2005, you can see all the people out on the beach enjoying the recreation that you can by being on the beach. Okay, next slide. Now I want to move into just the public education and outreach part of our program. We started with the Coastal Access Guidebooks, and I mean paper guidebooks. 1981, we started this program, and over time they've been updated and more books have been created. So at this point we have, you can see on the left, the statewide guide, and on the right of the left-hand slide are 4 that are the regional guides. Then in 2015, we shifted to using an online web-based version of our coastal access guides, using all the information that's in the paper guides, but for those people that want to go online, you can go there. This online guide was created in 2015, updated in 2026. We're really proud of it. A lot of people use it. In fact, yesterday we were on the beach in Santa Barbara, and some people said, oh yeah, that's what we used to get here. I wanted to point out that there are 1,640 access points listed in the both the paper guide and the York Coast. So that's the number of legal public access ways that we know of and produce for the public. Okay, next slide. We're going to move back to 1975. Maybe not everybody remembers the California Coastal Plan, but this is the precursor to the California Coastal Act and the Coastal Trail. So we're moving into the Coastal Trail section of my presentation. Is in the 1970 plan, where there is a mandate to include a policy to create and complete an integrated trail system, the length of the California coast. And by the way, the official length of the California coast is 1,230 miles. So keep that in mind. Next slide. So with the Coastal Trail comes another state logo. This one was adopted in 2005 by the Coastal Commission and the Coastal Conservancy, the two agencies in charge of creating and completing the California Coastal Trail. So you'll find this logo on many, many, many segments of the Coastal Trail, including right out here in front of the hotel. If you take a walk on the promenade going toward the river, you will see, if you look, you will see this, there's several of these medallions along the way. Next slide shows that by 2007, the legislature realized that it would be more pragmatic and would enhance our completion of the Coastal Trail if we added 2 additional state agencies to be partners in the lead on completing the Coastal Trail. So in addition to the original Coastal Conservancy and Coastal Commission, Caltrans was added, as well as state parks. And the Coastal Conservancy is the lead agency for the 4 of us. Next. Now, what is the definition of the Coastal Trail? It's an interconnected public trail system, multimodal, braided trail system within sight, sound, and smell of the ocean. It provides equitable alternative transportation opportunities that decrease greenhouse gas emissions. Next is environmental justice. The CCT provides free public access along the coast for recreational multimodal transportation, as well as a respite from inland heat and poor air quality. Next is what is the Coastal Trail map? You're going to see that in a minute. It's a mapping tool. It's not a guidebook, and it informs planning and permit grants. It provides public outreach. It informs active and regional transportation plans. So next slide this is what the Coastal Trail map looks like. If you go, this is only an online. It's the only way you can see this is online. It was created. This GIS map was created by the Coastal Conservancy and the Coastal Commission with a significant amount of technical assistance from Caltrans, and it was published in 2021. I can tell you this was a huge lift to put this map together. There's so much information in here. When you go to it and start looking around, you should be really impressed. This map shows the completed segments of the Coastal Trail. For where there is no Coastal Trail, there's nothing there. And the point of this is to inform local planning agencies, state agencies, Caltrans, whomever, to be able to look at where the gaps are and when opportunities rise, to be able to bridge those gaps. This trail is a work in progress. It's about 70% complete at this time. And remember, it's a braided trail system, so it will be much longer than the state of California's 1,230 miles in length. Next slide. I want to move to where we are today. Here we are. This is a sample of what the Coastal Trail map looks like. We're in Ventura on this map, and the red star is where the Ventura Pier is, and the orange lines represent completed Coastal Trail segments. Again, if you walk out the hotel going up or down coast, you can follow this orange line. You don't need the map to figure it out because it's very obvious. There's a public promenade, it's signed, people are walking on it, and you should say to yourself, well, I'm part of a statewide coastal trail system, and be excited like me. Okay. Moving on, the next slide. Both the Conservancy and the Commission have given grants out to video production companies to be able to highlight segments of the California Coastal Trail. And these are to inspire and educate the public about these segments. And so I'm just going to run through. I just pulled out one for each county that we have. And you can go to our website and click on any of these. They're 5 minutes long. There's about 50 of them on our website. So it's an impressive array. So just the next slide. And the next slide. And the next slide. Oh, I should point out Surfers Point, bottom right here. This is where we are here in Ventura. Surfers Point is just walking distance from here. Next slide. And then the next slide is I want to point out and talk about a specific segment of coastal trail that came through our coastal permitting process, the Rincon Multi-Use Trail, that's 4 miles in length. It's about 15 miles north of here, and it was a permit requested by Caltrans and permitted by the commission with a lot of discussion and collaboration between the commission and Caltrans staff that created an incredible amount of public access amenities, which I'm going to show you in a minute. This coastal trail, or this multi-use trail, was opened in 2014. So it's been in use for quite a while. Very, very popular. Okay, next slide. I want to show you what this area looked like before. Before, you see on the top right, you see a bicyclist who's sandwiched between a truck that's coming on their left and a parked car on their right, and that bike lane, that little stripe there where they're supposed to ride their bike, and I guess they were supposed to feel somewhat secure. When cars were parked in a line, which you can see on the bottom right, when people got out of their cars, they opened their door into the bike lane, and that bicyclist is already battling the trucks on their left. So it was very unpleasant, very unsafe, kind of a white knuckle exercise. Most people chose not to do it. On the bottom left, I highlighted in red a box culvert that pre-existed this project. That's about 4 feet tall, and we're going to show you in a minute what it looks like today. So these are all the kinds of things that Caltrans did a magnificent job in improving. So the next slide is the after, and here we are in that same location, and you can see that the bicyclists are on the multimodal trail that's separated from Highway 101. It's very safe, it's very scenic, well used, and on the far right you can see a ramp going down to the beach. These are 2 pedestrians. There's several of these ramps along this 4-mile stretch. This is all ADA accessible. You couldn't ask for much more. And a part of this project also included the construction of inland parking lots so that the public would park on the inland side, go under the freeway, and then pop out and be able to go to several different beaches. The community of La Conchita, which is where we are, is completely blocked. Their access to the beach is completely blocked by the 6 lanes of freeway and the railroad lines. And before this project was approved and then constructed, that 4-foot height of a box culvert was how the people in La Conchita, or any of the public that was in La Conchita, got to the beach. And I can tell you it was a very nasty little culvert, and I refused to ever go in it. So let's move on to what happens when you go in this new, tall, lit, with a little bit of art, arrives at the beach. So that's the next slide. And here we are celebrating because the underpass that I was just describing that took the place of the box culvert was dedicated by the California legislature in 2015 to honor Peter Douglas. And this is called the Peter Douglas Coastal Access Way. And there's the proud plaque, and if you can squint at the people in that picture, there's 3 of us still working at the commission and 1 retired executive director. And then here's a picture. Next slide is the picture of what the plaque says. No surprise, it says the coast is never saved. It's always being saved. One last slide. It just shows some beautiful aerial art. So that's the end of my presentation. Any questions, I'm happy to answer.